Never too experienced to make mistakes. This happened to me today. My background. I've worked tech support for the last 25 years, most of it in some senior role. I've trained people, been working help desk specific for the last 3 years after leaving the call center gigs. In the last several months we've also been having an issue with our Lenovo laptops with about a 5% failure rate on the webcams. In the last 50 or so deployments, we've had to replace 3 webcams for hardware failure. The on-site techs tell us it's a pretty high failure rate. The story. We've transitioned to purely laptops for users at our site. Seemed like overkill when we started last year, but been a lifesaver for our staff since COVID, and now we have 3/4 staff working from home. We've sorted out our bandwidth issues and allowed users to use video during Teams. They like it. We brought in a new hire as we do sometimes, and I reimage the computer from her predecessor, install a bunch of specialized software for their position and hand it off. First hour of training I get a call, webcam is not working. /smacks head / I forgot to check if the camera is working, failure rate is high enough I should have checked. No worries, I get them a temp laptop so they can get through new hire training with a webcam, and start a ticket with Lenovo. Since it took so long to install on their software, I decide they can keep the busted computer and bring it for repair when we get the parts, instead of spending another 4 hours installing software on a second computer. They already need to come back in to get a headset anyway. It looked longer than expected, but Lenovo came back to me for contact information and confirm my diagnosis. Is it in Device Manager? Yes, I'm not an idiot. Did you try reinstalling the OS? Yes, we started with a fresh install and ran all driver/BIOS updates. Are any privacy settings enabled? We don't pre-enable any privacy settings that would impact camera app or Teams. Is the shutter turned off? Shutter? What shutter? There's not shutter, I say to myself. Erring on the side of caution, I pull up the manual and learn there is indeed a shutter. I happen to have the same model, so I look at it, and for the first time since I've had this computer I notice a shutter slide. I reached out to the user, explained where to find the slide and asked if it's enabled. They said it was. They slid it open, tested Teams, and their camera works fine. Moral. Never too experienced to make a mistake, never skip the simple shit. Customer wants to save money == deletes local profiles off nearly 1,000 devices TLDR. Customer wants to save money, screws up badly, and we can bill them a lot of money to help. I work for a MSP providing outsourced desktop support for a government agency. One of our guys has developed a script to safely remove old profiles from PCs. It's an advanced script that by default deletes profiles not in use for 90 days, or you can specify a date. It detects known profiles that aren't to be deleted, local PC accounts, detects if the profiles have any Office documents or PSD files and skips them if they are there, and also logs all the folders and profiles deleted with timestamps and who ran the script to cover our ass. We have been using it ad hoc for a while, but we proposed to the agency that we can package it up and get it to run every 30 days to remove profiles older than 90 days. They declined it due to cost. We would obviously charge them to create the package and for testing etc., and risk of data loss. Fair enough. Fast forward 6 months to last week, and we get a lot of tickets for users' profiles being wiped while in use and missing data. They didn't want our script, but decided to get someone internal to write on up and deploy it. Instead of deleting profiles greater than 90 days old, the genius used delprof to read the last modified date of ntsa.ini instead of ntsa.that. ntsa.ini is rarely updated, so it didn't matter if you were still logged in actively using it. It deleted their profile based on the age of that file. Nearly 1,000 PCs had all their profiles nuked, including ones still in use. Most of them had folder redirection, so no major loss of data, but there are at least 100 that I know of that had locally stored data which is now all gone. This includes PSD files stored locally, Excel spreadsheets, PDF files, you name it. So now comes the fun times, as they have asked us to help recover as much data as we can using recovery tools, which is now all billable time $. User activates emergency code. I work in the military as part of a tech support team. We don't do anything specific, we're simply in charge of all the technical stuff, from help desk to network management and installing hardware on the client side, mostly level 1 work. We have quite a lot of work. Thing is, end users don't realize how much work we really have, so they always assume our only job is to help desk them. Because of that we don't always have time to answer requests, and we ask them for a ticket while we work on more pressing matters. Users found a trick though: if they claim it's urgent, we have to comply. It's just the rules. If you realize a user is bluffing on the phone and call them out, more often than not they will reach out to their superiors, who will talk to our superiors, who will force us to leave everything and help them out. Pretty fucking annoying. This one time I was in night shift. During night shifts we usually go to sleep in a room that has an IP phone in it just in case of emergency. I answer a few calls throughout the night, nothing important really, and didn't realize I didn't hang up properly on the last time, which means calls couldn't get through. This fuck up is definitely on me. This one user tried to call me, but I wasn't available, so she contacted my superiors at 4 a.m., screaming that she has an emergency, all of her computers malfunctioned. My superior tries to contact me, but my IP phone isn't picking up calls. End user keeps pressing on my superior to send a technician, and ends up activating emergency code, effectively waking up every single technician in the area at 4 fucking am just to get her problem solved. We're talking about 12 technicians on night duty. Most of them aren't even from my department, so they don't know who I am, but they had to comply an emergency code. When they arrive at the scene, only one computer was affected, and she simply shut off Explorer.exe by accident, which means she could simply restart the PC to fix the issue, but she didn't think this through. Hell fuck that, she could use another PC if she wanted to, but she couldn't grasp the idea of not using her regular PC that she has grown used to. When morning came I realized I fucked up and missed some calls. I return back to them, not knowing what happened, and I get accused of pulling off a massive prank. People reported of that incident to their superiors, which resulted in an interrogation. In the end, I was proven innocent but got scolded for missing the calls. I definitely fucked up, no question about it, but not as much as the end user. Apparently, she's new to the job, and was taught by her co-workers the special trick to get us to come, only she didn't know where to cross the line. New monitor deployment and the ensuing fights over empty boxes. I actually enjoy this story, it's pretty wholesome compared to the other shenanigans you read about on this sub. I am in the middle of deploying 70 plus new monitors for existing desktops and recycling, taking out back and recreating office space, the old 4:3 that somehow we were still using. These monitors are coming in, what I have been told, are very nice boxes that are very useful for storing crafts or other items. Most of the women that work in this office are older, think very nice grandmothers, and they have been fighting over the empty boxes as they want to take them all home. Since we have so many of them, there is plenty to go around. We have finally come to an agreement that there will be a rotation on who gets the next boxes. I am the only one doing the deployment, so it takes some time between this and my other daily duties, and they are all lined up to get as many as they can take. At least it makes it easier for me, I don't have to break them down and haul them out to the recycling dumpster lol. Sales tax of doom. This story happened shortly after a major natural disaster in my area. Not related to the disaster itself, but the event set in motion the events of this story. In the aftermath, the state I was in decided to add a half-cent temporary sales tax to fund infrastructure repairs. Side grumble, 30 years later that temporary tax is still in place. Since I was working in point of sales, I had the ridiculous job of going to all of my company's customers to reprogram their machines for the new sales tax. Our customer base covered most of the north part of our state, so it was a huge job. This one in particular stands out. As I walk through the door, the store owner is already yelling at me. He's mad because it's been a week since the tax change went into effect and we are only just getting to him. On top of that, he's livid that my company is charging him for the call. Well, I can't help the first part because we had to do some triage. Our big store multi-register clients got priority. His little 2-register mini-mart just had to wait a bit. The second part, I kind of agreed with. The company should have at least been giving discounts. As it came across as gouging even though we didn't raise our rates. But maintaining the 1-hour minimum for a 5-minute service call was kind of a dick move. In any case, that wasn't my call. So with the owner glaring over my shoulder, I enter the new program and save it. Then I print out the program to confirm it's incorrectly. The receipt printer starts up and then poof, the machine dies and all the magic blue smoke comes out. Owner was beyond livid. Blames my program entry for destroying his cash register, and since I had just exploded his machine as I was programming it, I really couldn't refute the argument. So I get my kit from the truck and open up the machine. Turns out that the printer motor was on its very last legs. Brushes had worn down so far that they eventually shorted out. Lucky me, it happened just as I started my print. I explained this to the owner and showed him the failed part. Then I replaced the printer and got the machine running again. Didn't even charge him for the part. Even so, the owner refused to believe my programming didn't kill his machine and wouldn't let me program the second machine. I later discovered he eventually called in a competitor from the neighboring service region to finish the job. So that's how my malicious programming skills lost us a customer. I only wish I had that power.